In the vastness of space, where stars burned like eternal candles and empires stretched across galaxies, there existed a species often overlooked, dismissed as weak, insignificant. They were the Lumari, a gentle race whose shimmering, translucent bodies glowed softly in the dark. Their home planet, Luminara, was a jewel of light nestled in a quiet corner of the cosmos. But peace seldom lasts long in a universe ruled by power. The Voktar Empire had grown hungry for resources. With their massive warships and ruthless tactics, they swept through systems, taking whatever they wanted. When they discovered Luminara, a planet rich with energy crystals that pulsed with untapped potential, they saw opportunity, not beauty. To the Voktars, the Lumari were nothing more than obstacles to be removed. For weeks, the skies above Luminara darkened as Voktar fleets descended. The Lumari tried to resist, but their weapons were primitive compared to the Empire's advanced technology. Their greatest strength lay not in combat, but in creation, in art, music, and harmonizing with nature. Yet none of these gifts could shield them from destruction. Silva, an elder among her people, watched helplessly as cities crumbled into dust. Her heart ached as families fled their homes, clutching fragments of what little they could carry. The Lumari were not fighters. They were dreamers, healers, builders. And now, they were refugees. One night, beneath the shattered remnants of a glowing forest, Silva gathered the remaining survivors. Hundreds of Lumari huddled together, their dimming lights reflecting sorrow and fear. "We cannot stay here," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her soul. "If we remain, we will perish. We must find sanctuary elsewhere." "But where?" asked Kale, a young engineer whose curiosity about the universe had once filled him with wonder. Now his eyes held only doubt. "Every world we know bows to the Voktars. No one will take us in." Silva paused, recalling something she'd seen days earlier, a faint signal broadcast from deep space. It wasn't from any known empire or colony. Instead, it came from a distant blue-green planet called Earth. Humanity, as they called themselves, was still considered backward by galactic standards. They hadn't yet ventured far beyond their own solar system. Perhaps this was why the beacon intrigued her so much. If anyone might offer refuge, it would be those who understood what it meant to struggle against overwhelming odds. "We go to Earth," Silva declared firmly. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some questioned whether trusting strangers was wise, while others clung to hope like a lifeline. In the end, desperation outweighed caution. Using what remained of their damaged ships, the Lumari set course for the unknown. As their fleet drifted away from Luminara, Silva gazed back at the fading glow of her homeland. Tears streaked her face, catching the light of distant stars. She whispered a silent promise. "We will survive. Together, we will find a new beginning." Far below, the Voktars scoured the ruins of Luminara, oblivious to the escape happening just beyond their reach. For now, the Lumari were safe, but survival was only the first step on a journey fraught with uncertainty. Little did they know, their decision to seek help from humanity would spark changes no one could have predicted, and somewhere out there, Earth waited, unaware that its fate, and the fate of an entire alien race, was about to change forever. The Lumari fleet drifted silently through the cold void of space, their ships flickering like dying stars. Each passing day brought them closer to Earth, but hope was fragile among the survivors. Supplies were running low, and fear gnawed at their resolve. What if Earth rejected them? What if humanity saw them as just another burden? On Earth, no one suspected that an alien race was approaching. Humanity had its own problems. Climate crisis, political tensions, and struggles for resources kept people busy enough without worrying about what lay beyond the stars. But then, something unusual happened. Deep in a NASA control room, alarms blared as satellites near Saturn detected strange energy signatures. The signals didn't match anything human-made or natural. Captain Elena Reyes, a seasoned officer with the United Nations Space Defense Initiative, was called in to investigate. Her team scrambled to analyze the data while preparing for the worst. "Could be hostile," muttered one technician nervously. Alina nodded, her jaw tight. If this was an invasion, humanity wasn't ready. But they couldn't afford to ignore it either. A small task force launched into orbit aboard the Odyssey, a sleek reconnaissance vessel equipped with minimal weapons. As they approached the source of the signal, their screens lit up with images of battered ships, alien ships. They glowed faintly, their surfaces etched with intricate patterns that pulsed like living veins. Alina's breath caught in her throat. She'd spent years studying astronomy, dreaming of first contact, but nothing could prepare her for this moment. Through the ship's cameras, she saw movement inside the alien vessels, ethereal figures shimmering softly against the darkness of space. "Hail them," Alina ordered, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions swirling within her. Static crackled over the comms before a hesitant voice responded, not in English, but in melodic tones that seemed to resonate directly in her mind. It was disorienting yet strangely beautiful. With the help of translation algorithms, communication slowly began to flow. "We seek refuge," came the translated reply. A figure stepped forward, its form glowing faintly blue. This was Silva, elder of the Lumari. Her eyes reflected both exhaustion and determination. Behind her, dozens of others huddled, their lights dimmed by suffering. Alina hesitated. Refuge. From what? And why here? Humanity had barely scratched the surface of interstellar travel. How could they possibly protect an alien species? Yet, looking at the desperate faces on those ships, she felt a pang of empathy. These beings weren't warriors. They looked more like victims. Back on Earth, news of the encounter spread quickly. Governments debated whether aiding the aliens would provoke retaliation from other galactic powers. Protesters gathered outside UN headquarters, holding signs that read, "Save ourselves first." Meanwhile, scientists argued that studying the Lumari could unlock unprecedented technological advancements. Alina knew time was running out. The Lumari were starving, their life support systems failing. After hours of tense deliberation, she made an executive decision. "We'll bring them in," she said firmly. "If we turn them away, we're no better than whoever chased them here." With careful coordination, the Lumari fleet was guided toward Earth. When they entered the atmosphere, millions watched live broadcasts as glowing ships descended like falling stars. Some cheered, others cried, and many simply stared in awe. As the first Lumari stepped onto Earth's soil, Silva bowed deeply, her light flickering weakly. "Thank you," she whispered, the words translating imperfectly but carrying profound gratitude. For now, humanity had opened its arms. But even as the world marveled at these mysterious visitors, questions lingered. Who, or what, had driven them here? And how long would peace last? Far above, hidden in the depths of space, unseen eyes observed Earth's newfound guests. The galaxy was vast, but secrets rarely stayed buried for long. The arrival of the Lumari on Earth was met with a mix of wonder and unease. While some humans were captivated by their shimmering forms and gentle demeanor, others viewed them with suspicion. Governments scrambled to establish protocols, unsure how to handle an alien race seeking refuge. The Lumari, weakened by their journey and still reeling from the loss of their home, struggled to adapt to their new surroundings. Temporary camps were set up in remote areas, far from densely populated cities. To many, this felt like a compromise, keeping the aliens close enough for observation, but distant enough to avoid panic. Silva, the elder who had led her people to Earth, worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between the two species. She knew that trust would take time, but it was essential if the Lumari were to survive. One day, while walking through the camp, Silva noticed a young human woman carefully sketching one of the glowing Lumari structures. Her name was Mia Chen, a brilliant astrophysicist assigned to study the newcomers. Intrigued, Silva approached her. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice soft yet curious. Maya looked up, startled. "Oh, I'm just trying to understand your technology," she admitted, pointing at the intricate patterns etched into the structure. "It's incredible. Your designs are so different from ours." Silva smiled faintly. "Our homes reflect who we are. They are meant to harmonize, not dominate." She paused, then added, "Perhaps we can learn from each other." This simple exchange marked the beginning of a collaboration neither had anticipated. Over the following days, Silva introduced Mia to Kale, a young Lumari engineer known for his innovative thinking. Though hesitant at first, Kale warmed to Mia's enthusiasm. Together, they began exploring ways to combine Lumari energy systems with human engineering. Their work quickly bore fruit. Using Lumari bioluminescent crystals, they developed a prototype device capable of generating clean, renewable energy. When demonstrated to a group of scientists and government officials, the invention drew gasps of amazement. For the first time, humanity saw tangible benefits in helping the Lumari, not just as charity, but as mutual progress. Despite these breakthroughs, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Some humans feared the aliens' mysterious biology might harm Earth's ecosystems. Rumors spread about strange plant growths near the camps or unusual weather patterns linked to the Lumari presence. Meanwhile, among the Lumari, whispers of doubt grew louder. Elders worried that adapting too much to human ways would erase their culture. Silva addressed these concerns during a gathering of her people. Standing under the pale light of Earth's moon, she spoke with quiet authority. "We cannot cling to what we have lost," she said. "Survival means change, but change does not mean forgetting who we are. We must find balance." Her words resonated deeply, especially when paired with acts of kindness from unexpected places. One evening, a storm flooded part of the camp, threatening to destroy supplies. Human volunteers rushed to help, working alongside the Lumari to salvage what they could. In the chaos, bonds formed, small moments of connection that reminded everyone of their shared humanity and alienness. Kale, inspired by these interactions, confided in Mia. "I used to think humans were reckless, always rushing toward danger. But now I see something else. Resilience. You don't give up, no matter how hard things get." Mia grinned. "And maybe we can teach you to stop overthinking everything. Sometimes, you just have to jump in and figure it out as you go." Their partnership became a symbol of hope, proof that cooperation could yield results neither species could achieve alone. Slowly, walls began to crumble, not just between humans and Lumari, but within themselves. Each step forward brought challenges, but also victories. Unbeknownst to them, however, shadows loomed on the horizon. Not all humans welcomed the Lumari with open arms. Among the skeptics lurked those who saw opportunity, not in unity, but in betrayal. And somewhere beyond Earth's orbit, the Vokhtar Empire watched, waiting for the right moment to strike. For now, though, the seeds of trust continued to grow, fragile yet determined, reaching toward a brighter future. The uneasy peace between humans and Lumari was shattered one fateful night when Earth's orbiting satellites detected an unwelcome visitor. A single Vokhtar scout ship had entered the solar system, its sleek, menacing silhouette gliding silently through space. The news sent shockwaves through humanity's leadership. For weeks, they had debated whether aiding the Lumari would invite trouble from galactic powers. And now, that fear had become reality. Captain Alina Reyes was called to action immediately. She boarded the Odyssey once again, this time accompanied by a small fleet of hastily assembled human vessels. Though their ships were outdated compared to the Vokhtar's advanced technology, Alina refused to let fear dictate her decisions. Humanity had taken responsibility for the Lumari. They couldn't back down now. As the Odyssey approached the intruder, communications crackled to life. A gruff, mechanical voice demanded, "Hand over the fugitives." The Lumari belonged to the Vokhtar Empire. Alina clenched her fists but kept her tone calm. "We don't recognize your authority here," she replied. "These beings sought refuge on our planet, and we intend to protect them." The response was icy. Your interference will not go unpunished. Withdraw or face consequences. Behind her, the crew exchanged nervous glances. They all knew what consequences meant. A full-scale assault that Earth wasn't prepared to withstand. Still, retreating wasn't an option. If they showed weakness now, it would only embolden the Vokters further. Back on Earth, panic spread like wildfire. News outlets broadcast images of the looming Voktar ship, sparking debates about whether humanity should abandon the Lumari to save itself. Protests erupted in cities worldwide, with some calling for peace at any cost and others urging resistance. Amidst the chaos, Silva stood firm, addressing her people gathered in the temporary camps. "We cannot ask you to fight for us," she said, her glowing form dimmed by exhaustion. "But know this, running will not save us. We must trust those who have offered us shelter." Her words resonated deeply, not just among the Lumari, but also among many humans who believed standing together was the only way forward. Volunteers poured into defense efforts, determined to protect their new allies. Meanwhile, Elena devised a daring plan. Using hacked satellite networks and decoy transmissions, she created false signals suggesting the Lumari had already left Earth. To buy time, the human fleet positioned itself near Jupiter, drawing the Voktar scout away from the planet. It was a gamble, but it worked, for now. After hours of tense maneuvering, the scout withdrew, seemingly convinced there was nothing left to find. Though relieved, Elena knew this victory was temporary. "They'll be back," she warned during a debriefing session. "And next time, they won't come alone." Her prediction weighed heavily on everyone. Humanity's encounter with the Voktars exposed how vulnerable Earth truly was. Their primitive weapons and outdated defenses paled in comparison to the Empire's might. But instead of despair, the incident ignited a fire within both species. Kale, the young Lumari engineer, approached Mia with urgency. "We need to do more," he said. "If we can adapt our energy systems to power human weapons, maybe you'll stand a chance against them." Mia nodded, determination blazing in her eyes. "Then let's get to work." In the days that followed, humanity and the Lumari accelerated their collaborative efforts. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, blending Lumari elegance with human ingenuity. Slowly but surely, Earth began transforming into something stronger. A united front ready to face whatever came next. But as hope flickered brighter, so did the shadows lurking beyond. Somewhere in the depths of space, the Voktar Empire plotted its return, unaware that their actions were forging an alliance unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. And when they struck again, they would find Earth far less defenseless than before. With the looming threat of the Voktar Empire hanging over them, humanity and the Lumari knew they had no time to waste. The fragile bond between the two species was tested daily, but necessity forced them to work together like never before. Training grounds were set up across Earth, where humans and Lumari practiced side by side, learning each other's strengths and weaknesses. Kale, the young Lumari engineer, became a key figure in this effort. His glowing hands moved deftly over blueprints as he explained his people's technology to Mia and her team. "Our energy crystals can power your weapons," he said one evening, pointing at a schematic. "But you'll need to adapt your systems to handle their intensity." Mia nodded, scribbling notes furiously. "And if we combine it with our targeting systems, we might actually stand a chance against the Voktars." Her excitement was contagious, inspiring those around her to push harder, think faster. Their collaboration wasn't limited to engineering. On the battlefield, soldiers trained alongside Lumari warriors, whose combat style emphasized agility and non-lethal tactics. At first, the differences seemed insurmountable. Human soldiers relied on brute force and precision, while the Lumari focused on disabling opponents without causing harm. But under Captain Elena Reyes' leadership, these contrasting approaches began to merge into something powerful. During one training exercise, a human squad found themselves cornered by simulated enemy drones. Just as panic started to rise, A group of Lumari stepped in, using their bioluminescent shields to confuse and redirect the drones. The humans followed up with precise strikes, neutralizing the threat. When the simulation ended, cheers erupted from both sides. For the first time, they truly felt like a united force. Still, not everyone embraced this newfound unity. Some humans resented sharing resources during a global crisis, accusing the Lumari of being a burden rather than an asset. Among the Lumari, elders worried about losing their cultural identity in the face of human dominance. Whispers of dissent grew louder, threatening to undo all the progress they'd made. Silva saw the cracks forming and acted swiftly. She called for a joint assembly, gathering humans and Lumari in a large open field under the fading light of sunset. Standing tall despite her frailty, she addressed the crowd. "We are stronger together," she declared, her voice carrying authority. "Yes, we are different. Yes, change is difficult. But survival depends on adaptation, not clinging to what we once were. Humanity has taught us resilience. We must teach them harmony. Together, we create something greater than either of us alone." Her words struck a chord. Slowly, the murmurs of discontent faded, replaced by nods of agreement. Even skeptics couldn't deny the tangible results of their cooperation. The hybrid defenses being built weren't just effective. They were revolutionary. One breakthrough came when Kale and Mia unveiled their latest creation: luminous energy shields powered by Lumari crystals. These shields could absorb and redirect attacks, giving soldiers a crucial edge in battle. When demonstrated during a live drill, the crowd erupted in awe. For the first time, humanity glimpsed a future where they might hold their own against galactic powers. But even as hope swelled, reality remained stark. The Voctors would return, and when they did, Earth would face its greatest test yet. Still, amidst the uncertainty, there was a growing sense of determination. Humanity and the Lumari weren't just preparing for war, they were forging a partnership that transcended fear and doubt. As Kel worked late into the night tweaking the shield design, Mia joined him, handing over a cup of steaming coffee. "You know," she said with a grin, "if we survive this, I'm gonna write a book about us. How humans and aliens saved the world." Kale chuckled softly, his glow brightening slightly. "Just make sure you spell my name right." In moments like these, laughter replaced tension and hope replaced despair. Though shadows loomed ahead, the alliance between humans and Lumari grew stronger every day. Together, they stood ready to face whatever the galaxy threw their way, united, unyielding, and undeniably alive. As humanity and the Lumari worked tirelessly to prepare for the inevitable return of the Voctar Empire, cracks began to form beneath the surface of their fragile alliance. Not everyone on Earth welcomed the aliens with open arms. Some saw the Lumari as a liability, a drain on resources at a time when humanity itself was struggling. Among these skeptics were influential figures who believed that survival meant putting Earth first, no matter the cost. One such figure was Senator Harold Grayson, a powerful politician known for his fiery speeches and nationalist rhetoric. He had opposed aiding the Lumari from the start, arguing that humanity couldn't afford to risk its safety for the sake of strangers. "We have enough problems here," he often declared in televised debates. "Why should we sacrifice ourselves for aliens who might not even be worth saving?" What no one suspected, however, was that Grayson's opposition ran deeper than public speeches. In secret, he and a small faction of like-minded individuals made contact with the Voctar Empire, offering information about the Lumari's presence on Earth in exchange for protection against future invasions. To them, betrayal wasn't immoral, it was strategic. Captain Alina Reyes stumbled upon evidence of this treachery during a routine security sweep. A coded message intercepted by Earth's defense satellites revealed Grayson's plot. The senator had leaked detailed maps of the Lumari camps and schematics of their hybrid technology to the Voctors. Furious and heartbroken, Alina knew she had to act fast. She confronted Grayson in a tense meeting inside the UN headquarters. "You think you're protecting Earth?" she demanded, slamming the decrypted files onto the table. "All you've done is put us all in more danger." Grayson sneered, unrepentant. "I'm doing what's necessary. The Lumari are weak. They'll never survive without us, and if siding with the Voctors keeps humanity safe, then so be it." Elena refused to let him get away with it. With the help of trusted allies, she exposed the conspiracy to the world. Leaked documents and recordings of Grayson's communications spread like wildfire across news outlets and social media. Public outrage erupted almost instantly. Protests erupted outside government buildings, demanding accountability and justice. For the Lumari, the revelation was devastating. Silva called an emergency gathering, her glow dimmed by sorrow. "We came here seeking refuge," she said, her voice trembling. "But now we see that trust can be broken, even here." The betrayal could have shattered the alliance completely. Instead, it had the opposite effect. Humanity rallied around the Lumari, united by shared anger toward Grayson's actions. Leaders issued apologies, promising to root out corruption and ensure such treachery would never happen again. Volunteers poured into the camps, offering aid and support. Even those who had once doubted the Lumari now stood firmly by their side. Kale watched the transformation unfold with cautious optimism. "Humans are strange," he told Mia one evening as they worked on refining the energy shields. "So quick to turn on each other, and yet just as quick to come together when it matters." Mia smiled faintly, tightening a bolt on the shield generator. "That's who we are. Flawed, yes, but capable of change." The incident served as a turning point. No longer were the Lumari seen merely as refugees. They were partners in humanity's fight for survival. Together, they redoubled their efforts, knowing that unity was their greatest weapon against the looming threat. Unbeknownst to them, however, the Voctors had already received Grayson's intel. Though the traitor had been exposed, the damage was done. Somewhere in the depths of space, massive warships prepared for battle, their engines roaring with deadly intent. Earth's time was running out. But as humans and Lumari stood shoulder to shoulder, ready to face whatever came next, one truth became clear. Betrayal may sow discord, but resilience breeds strength. And together, they would need every ounce of it. The betrayal of Senator Grayson had left scars, but it also forged a new resolve among humanity and the Lumari. The exposed conspiracy served as a wake-up call. Earth was no longer safe, and the Voctar Empire's return was inevitable. With time running out, both species threw themselves into preparations, determined to face the coming storm together. Under Captain Elena Reyes' leadership, Earth's defense forces underwent radical changes. Soldiers trained harder than ever, learning to integrate Lumari tactics with human strategies. Kale and Mia's hybrid technology became the backbone of their efforts. Luminous energy shields were mass-produced, equipping every unit with tools that could deflect Voctar weaponry. Meanwhile, modified human fighters were outfitted with Lumari-powered engines, allowing them to maneuver faster and strike harder. But preparation wasn't just about weapons and shields. It was about mindset. Silva addressed her people daily, urging them to embrace their role in this fight. "We came here seeking safety," she reminded them. "But now we must stand as protectors, not just of ourselves, but of those who have welcomed us." Her words resonated deeply. The Lumari, once hesitant to engage in conflict, began stepping forward with newfound determination. They taught humans how to use non-lethal methods to disable enemies, emphasizing restraint over destruction. This approach clashed with traditional human combat styles, but over time, soldiers adapted, blending precision with compassion. Among the troops, unlikely friendships blossomed. One such bond formed between Lieutenant Marcus Hale, a grizzled veteran known for his no-nonsense attitude, and Tira, a young Lumari warrior whose glowing form radiated calm even in chaos. During training exercises, Marcus marveled at Tira's ability to defuse hostile situations without firing a single shot. "You make me feel like I've been doing this all wrong," he admitted one evening after a particularly intense drill. Tira smiled softly. Not wrong, just different. Together, we're stronger. Their camaraderie reflected the growing unity across Earth. In cities and towns, ordinary citizens rallied behind the cause, donating supplies and volunteering their skills. Factories worked around the clock to produce equipment, while engineers collaborated with Lumari artisans to innovate solutions never before imagined. Humanity and the Lumari weren't just preparing for war, they were building something extraordinary. Yet, despite their progress, fear lingered in the air. Everyone knew what they were up against, an empire vast and merciless, with technology far beyond anything Earth had faced. The question wasn't whether the Voctors would attack, it was when. That moment arrived sooner than expected. Early warning systems detected a massive fleet approaching Earth's orbit. Dozens of sleek, menacing ships descended like predators circling prey. Panic rippled through command centers, but Alina remained steady. "This is it," she said, addressing her team. "Everything we've built leads to this. Remember why we're fighting. For each other." As alarms blared and skies darkened, humanity and the Lumari took their positions. Hybrid vessels launched into space, forming a defensive line above Earth. Soldiers stood ready on the ground, armed with glowing shields and advanced weaponry. For the first time, two species united under a single banner, bound by trust and purpose. Silva joined Alina aboard the Odyssey, watching as the Voctor fleet loomed closer. "They think we are weak," she whispered, her voice firm. "Let them see our strength." When the battle began, the universe held its breath. Explosions lit up the sky as Earth's defenders clashed with the invaders. The Voctors unleashed devastating salvos, but the Lumari shields absorbed much of the impact, buying precious time. Human pilots darted through enemy formations, striking with precision enhanced by Lumari tech. It was chaos. But within the chaos lay hope. Each coordinated move, each act of bravery, proved that humanity and the Lumari were more than the sum of their parts. Together, they fought not just to survive, but to show the galaxy what true resilience looked like. And though the outcome hung precariously in the balance, one thing was certain: Earth would not fall without a fight. The battle above Earth raged with an intensity that defied imagination. Explosions lit up the blackness of space, painting the void with fiery streaks of orange and white. The Voctar fleet loomed like a swarm of mechanical beasts, relentless in their assault. Humanity's hybrid ships darted through the chaos, their glowing shields deflecting enemy fire, while human pilots executed daring maneuvers never before seen in combat. On board the Odyssey, Captain Alina Reyes gripped the edge of her command console as she watched the carnage unfold. Every second felt like an eternity. Her heart pounded not just for herself, but for everyone fighting. Human soldiers risking everything. Lumari warriors stepping into battles they were never meant to fight. "Hold the line," she shouted over the comms, her voice cutting through the static. "We can't let them break through." But holding the line was easier said than done. The Voctors' weapons were devastatingly powerful, capable of tearing through even the strongest defenses. One by one, Earth's ships began to falter under the relentless barrage. Kale, stationed aboard a support vessel nearby, worked furiously to reroute power to failing shields. His hands trembled as he adjusted controls, sweat beading on his forehead, despite the cool air inside the ship. "We're losing too many ships," Mia called out from beside him, her eyes scanning damage reports flashing across her screen. "If we don't do something soon, they'll breach our perimeter." Kale clenched his jaw. He knew what had to be done, but it came at a cost. "There's only one way to stop them," he said grimly. "I have to overload the main crystal core. It'll create an EMP pulse strong enough to disable their entire fleet, but it'll take me with it." Mia froze, staring at him in horror. "No, there has to be another way." "There isn't," Kale replied softly, his glow dimming slightly. "This is why I'm here, to protect my people. And yours." Before she could argue further, he activated the override sequence and sprinted toward the reactor chamber. Back on the front lines, Lieutenant Marcus Hale led a squadron of fighters against a massive Vokter dreadnought. Tira flew alongside him, her bioluminescent shield shimmering as she absorbed enemy fire. "Marcus, we need to draw their attention away from the fleet," she urged, her voice calm yet urgent. "Got it," Marcus replied, banking sharply to avoid a volley of missiles. Together, they launched a coordinated attack, luring the dreadnought's turrets away from the vulnerable support vessels below. Their distraction bought precious seconds, but not nearly enough. Inside the reactor chamber, alarms blared as Kel initiated the final countdown. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered goodbye to his people. And to Mia, "Forgive me," he murmured, pressing the activation button just as the doors burst open behind him. A blinding flash erupted across the battlefield, silencing every weapon and engine within range. The Vokter fleet shuddered, its systems completely disabled. For a moment, there was silence, a surreal pause in the storm. Then cheers erupted from Earth's defenders as they realized the tide had turned. But the victory came at a heavy price. When the light faded, Kel was gone, his sacrifice etched into the memories of everyone who witnessed it. On board the Odyssey, Silva collapsed to her knees, grief washing over her like a tidal wave. Yet, amidst the sorrow, determination burned brighter than ever. "He gave us a chance," Alina said firmly, addressing her crew. "Now it's up to us to finish this." Below, humanity and the Lumari mourned together, for Kel, for the fallen, and for the lives shattered by war. But as they regrouped, preparing for whatever came next, one truth became undeniable. The bond between their species had been forged in fire. United by loss and purpose, they stood ready to face the galaxy's wrath, and to prove that strength wasn't measured by power alone. Far beyond Earth's orbit, the remnants of the Voktar fleet drifted helplessly. They would retreat for now, licking their wounds, but the Empire wouldn't stay silent forever. And when it returned, humanity and the Lumari vowed to be stronger than ever. The EMP pulse had crippled the Voktar fleet, leaving their ships adrift and powerless in Earth's orbit. It was a stunning victory, but a costly one. Kel's sacrifice weighed heavily on everyone. His absence felt like a void no amount of triumph could fill. Still, there was no time to grieve fully. The battle wasn't over yet. Captain Alina Reyes knew that disabling the Voktar ships wouldn't end the war. Their command center, the heart of the Empire's operations, was located aboard the flagship, which remained intact despite the chaos. If they could infiltrate it and disable its systems, they might deal a fatal blow to the Voktar's ability to coordinate attacks. But getting inside would be nearly impossible. Silva approached Alina during a tense strategy meeting aboard the Odyssey. "We must act now," she said firmly, her glowing form dimmed by sorrow, but unwavering in resolve. "Kale gave us this chance. We cannot waste it." Alina nodded. "Agreed. I'll lead a strike team to board the flagship. But we'll need both humans and Lumari. Your knowledge of their technology will be crucial." Together, they assembled a small, elite crew. Lieutenant Marcus Hale volunteered immediately, his determination fueled by guilt over surviving when so many hadn't. Tira joined him, her quiet strength steadying the group. Mia insisted on coming too, arguing that her understanding of hybrid tech might make all the difference. With Silva blessing the mission, the team prepared for what lay ahead. Under cover of darkness, or rather, the shadow of Earth, they launched a stealth shuttle toward the massive Voktar flagship. Its jagged silhouette loomed ominously against the stars, bristling with dormant weapons and silent engines. As they docked, tension crackled through the air. Every step into the unknown carried the risk of discovery and death. Inside, the ship was a labyrinth of cold metal corridors lit by harsh red lights. The team moved cautiously, guided by Tara's instincts and Mia's analysis of energy signatures. Along the way, they encountered patrols of Voktar soldiers, their armored forms towering and menacing. Using Lumari tactics, the team avoided direct confrontation, disabling enemies quietly with non-lethal methods before slipping past. As they neared the command center, the stakes grew higher. Security checkpoints became more frequent, forcing the team to rely on quick thinking and teamwork. At one point, Marcus used a stolen Voktar weapon to create a diversion, while Mia hacked into a locked door panel. Kira covered them with her glowing shield, deflecting stray blasts from pursuing guards. Finally, they'd reached the nerve center, a sprawling chamber filled with blinking consoles and holographic displays. In the middle stood the central control hub, pulsing with ominous energy. This was it, the key to dismantling the entire fleet. Mia got to work immediately, her fingers flying over the alien interface as she uploaded a virus designed from Cal's final plans. "Almost there," she muttered, sweat dripping down her face. Behind her, Marcus and Tira held off waves of Voktar reinforcements, their movements precise and coordinated. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Reinforcements were closing in fast. "Hurry," Marcus shouted, firing another shot to buy time. With seconds to spare, Mia hit the final command. The screens flickered, then went dark. Across the fleet, every Voktar vessel shut down completely. Cheers erupted among Earth's defenders as they realized the tide had truly turned. But the celebration was short-lived. As the team made their escape, Silva received a transmission from deep space. The Voktar Empire wasn't done yet. Retreating for now didn't mean surrender. It meant regrouping. And when they returned, they would bring vengeance. Still, as the team reunited aboard the Odyssey, battered but alive, hope burned brighter than ever. Together, humanity and the Lumari had proven that unity could overcome even the greatest odds. For now, they had won. But the galaxy was vast, and the fight was far from over. The battle was over, but its echoes lingered in the hearts of those who had fought. The Voktar fleet drifted lifelessly in Earth's orbit, their systems crippled by Mia's virus, and Cal's ultimate sacrifice. Humanity and the Lumari had won. For now. But the cost weighed heavily on both species. Lives lost, friendships shattered, and scars carved into souls served as reminders that survival came at a price. On Earth, celebrations erupted across cities and towns. Fireworks lit up the night sky, blending with the soft glow of Lumari lights as humans and aliens stood side by side. Yet beneath the joy lay an unspoken understanding. This victory was only the beginning. The galaxy had taken notice of Earth's defiance, and the Voktars would not forget. In the aftermath, Silva addressed a joint assembly of humans and Lumari gathered in a vast open field. Her voice trembled but carried strength born of loss and resilience. "We came here seeking refuge," she began, her light flickering faintly against the backdrop of stars. "But today, we stand united, not as refugees and hosts, but as equals. Together, we have faced fear, betrayal, and war. And together, we will face whatever comes next." Her words resonated deeply. For the first time, humanity saw itself not as isolated inhabitants of a small planet, but as part of something greater, a shared destiny among the stars. The Lumari, once dismissed as weak, had proven their worth through innovation, courage, and compassion. Together, they forged a bond stronger than any weapon or empire. Cal's sacrifice became a symbol of unity. In his honor, a monument was erected near the temporary Lumari camps, a shimmering crystal structure powered by hybrid energy, glowing softly day and night. Beneath it, an inscription read, "Strength through unity, courage through sacrifice." Alina Reyes stood beside Mia and Marcus during the dedication ceremony, watching as people placed flowers and tokens of gratitude at the base of the monument. "He gave us hope," Maya said quietly, tears glistening in her eyes. "I just wish he could see what we've built because of him." "He does," Alina replied firmly. "Every time we fight for each other, every time we refuse to give up. That's him. His light is still with us." As weeks passed, efforts shifted toward rebuilding and preparing for the future. Earth transformed under the influence of Lumari technology, and human ingenuity. Cities adapted to accommodate both species, blending bioluminescent structures with sustainable designs. Schools taught children about cooperation, emphasizing lessons learned from the alliance. Even skeptics who had once doubted the Lumeri now embraced them as partners in survival. But beyond Earth's borders, shadows loomed. News arrived of the Vokhtar Empire regrouping, their leaders vowing retribution. Other galactic powers watched cautiously, some wary of humanity's newfound strength, others intrigued by their defiance. Earth was no longer a forgotten backwater. It was a beacon of resistance. Yet instead of fear, humanity and the Lumeri faced these challenges with determination. Training intensified, defenses expanded, and new alliances formed with distant species disillusioned by the Vokhtar's tyranny. Slowly but surely, Earth emerged as a symbol of hope in a fractured galaxy. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Silva joined Elena atop a hill overlooking the transformed landscape. "Do you think we can truly change the galaxy?" Elena asked, her gaze fixed on the distant stars. Silva smiled softly, her glow steady and warm. "Change begins with one step and one bond. We are proof of that. Whatever happens, we will face it together." As the two figures stood side by side, silhouetted against the fading light, Earth prepared to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as protectors of peace, justice, and unity. The road ahead would be long and fraught with peril, but for the first time, humanity and the Lumari walked it hand in hand, ready to shape a brighter future for all. And so, a new dawn broke, not just for Earth, but for the galaxy itself.